Okay, this hour now, final hour, we'll take your phone calls with Dr. Brooks Agnew as we talk about the journey to the center of the earth, HAARP, weather manipulation. That'll be all next on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast to Coast. We've got Brooks Agnew with us. We're going to take your phone calls as well. Brooks, what other work are you working on these days beyond the car? I assume that takes up a lot of your time now, doesn't it?
It does. It takes up a lot of time. Of course, being a Six Sigma Master Black Belt, we are moving a lot of manufacturing around the country, consolidating things. Right now, I'm on a contract down here in southern Mississippi, helping a Fortune 100 company consolidate 2 manufacturing facilities to save a product, keep it here in this country, and it's a job, making things more efficient, eliminating waste. We have to be more competitive, and a lot of the things that we inherited in our manufacturing processes, it's just the way we've always done things isn't typically the best way to do things. So making those things more efficient, making it easier for people to do, making wages better for people, and also more competitive in the sense that the cost of goods sold drops for that individual item, and yet a person can make a decent living making it. So we're doing our best not to export jobs, but keeping them here in this country. And when I'm talking about jobs, at least from my standpoint, it's manufacturing jobs. We're not talking service-related jobs. We don't want to just be flipping hamburgers from coast to coast. We want to be building stuff because we're good at it.
We are good at it. We need to do more about it. Have you heard anything about any strange things going on at Antarctica?
Yes. As a matter of fact, Lake Vostok is about to be penetrated if it has not already. Now, the Antarctic winter has already begun, and we're talking minus 90 degrees. It's not easy to work down there. The small station that's down there houses less than 24 people. They don't want to drill all winter, but they are under a tremendous time crunch here because the drilling is not like an oil drill. It's like drilling with a beer can. You're trying to take ice cores. But now they're getting ready to break into the opening above Lake Vostok that has been created by this thermal energy heat that's down in that area that's melted some of the ice and pushed an opening and allow this lake to form. The really strange thing is as they flew over this with, as luck would have it, ground-probing radar to map it, they got a signal back that's very much like radioactive power supply, and that's definitely not what they expected to find. So now the Lake Vostok project has taken on a whole new slant, and I'm getting calls about that because of my expertise in various types of spectroscopy to understand some of the things, and not very much information is coming out of there, which makes it even more suspicious.
Okay, let's go to the phones. We'll pick it up by going to first-time caller Nicole in San Marcos, Texas, is up with us. Hey, Nicole, go ahead.
Hello. I really like this discussion tonight. But first, I want to say hello to my husband, who is working tonight, just like me. John Paul, by the way. I wanted to talk about you mentioned that hurricanes can be redirected. And I was living in Cabo for a couple of years, and at first, we had a couple of hurricanes that came by us, and people in the community would talk about how they knew that the states had went out there, and somewhere out in the Pacific, there was some kind of an object or something that was, redirecting the hurricane, because they had such a terrible hurricane a while back, and they didn't want it to happen again. So they went ahead and let people, I guess the United States, go out there and do this study. And they had mentioned that that there was it was being redirected. I didn't believe it at first, but we had a couple of hurricanes go out there between 2006, 2008, and they were nothing hit us. They would always go to La Paz or they'd go to the mainland, but they would always go around Cabo. They'd always go around, Baja or down in the San Jose because it's such a tourist area.
Yeah.
They wanted to preserve it. So I do believe that it can be done.
Well, it probably can be done. And Brooks, one day we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah, we'll find out one day that maybe the records will be opened and we'll be able to see what's being done and where.
I wonder if there's anything, though, on WikiLeaks that we just haven't seen yet.
I do, too. I on my program, nominated Julian Assange for the Nobel Peace Prize because at least he's airing the dirty laundry. He didn't create the dirty laundry, but it's about time people see what's going on behind closed doors.
All right, next up, let's go to Daniel in Little Rock, Arkansas. Welcome to Coast, Daniel.
Thank you. It's an honor to be on with both of you and enjoy both programs that you were on, History Channel and the Jesse Ventura one on.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, it was amazing. We're just hearing a lot of different things here in Arkansas. The ground, not so much in March, but in January and for December, we had almost an earthquake every day. And then the weird oddity of the birds that fell out of the sky by the thousands, and their little bodies and insides have been pretty much turned to mush. And then the thousands of fish that came up in the rivers. And then I have a source, listen to Joyce Riley, and you've had her on the show, George.
Sure.
She reported in the last month that FEMA had ordered almost 400 million meals as if they're preparing for something.
Mm-hmm.
So sources I have, 101st Airborne at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, are saying they think the atmosphere is being supercharged for an earthquake on the New Madrid, that the government could declare martial law in the coming months. There's one other thing. There's a drill here May 21st in Arkansas. Homeland Security is having a drill for an earthquake, ironically, on the New Madrid fault line. Why would Homeland Security be having a drill that they're supposed to protect us from terrorism, and now they're preparing for an earthquake? I'm just wondering if any of you have heard that, and if we can get that information out there to hopefully stop it, should such insanity be possibly in the going.
Well, I've heard about the buying of the food, the storable food, and I didn't hear about the 4 million figure, but I heard it was pretty darn extensive. Brooks, I don't know if you heard that.
I did hear about the bulk buying of food, and this isn't just outdated food. This is a major move to create a storehouse of food. Now, I could tell you from past experience, because I was in the earthquake in 1969 in Selmar, California, that the movie was made on, by the way, and we were in Simi Valley at the time, and after a couple of days of no water and no ice and, smelling gas in the valley and things like that and hundreds of aftershocks, we were ready to get out of that valley. So we got into the car and we were going to drive out of the valley down to Santa Monica. The National Guard had us sealed in that valley. Now, they had also seized all of the grocery stores in the valley, and they were rationing out the food so that people didn't go in and clean out the stores like you saw happen in Japan. That kind of authority rests with the Red Cross. Within a 2-hour notice, they can shut down all distribution of food in any state.
That fast?
2-hour notice, and they practice it all the time. Now, the interesting thing about the New Madrid fault, a lot of people don't know this, but there was a terrible quake on that in the early 1800s that was so violent that the Mississippi River ran backwards, and it formed Reelfoot Lake.
Right.
Well, Mississippi River happens to have so many bridges crossing it, interstate bridges and local bridges. If those bridges fell, it would literally cut the transport of food in half in this nation.
Okay, he also wanted to know about, exercises for earthquakes. Wouldn't you say that's standard procedure?
Well, it used to be when I was a kid. We crawled under our desks, because we had earthquakes in Southern California all the time. But Arkansas, we're talking about one solid slab of limestone from the Mississippi Delta all the way to South Dakota. It's not a very tectonically active area. This isn't the Pacific Rim. I don't understand why.
No, but they do say, Brooks, that the New Madrid Fault, which Arkansas is part of, could be the biggest fault line in the country.
It is, but it's not very active. There's just not much movement on it.
So far. Keep our fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, next up, who's up? Let's go to Ruben in Milan, Michigan, east of the Rockies. Ruben, you're up.
Hey, George, how you doing?
Good, Rube. Thank you.
Hey, it's good that your last caller had the exact thought that I was having. About the millions of food packs that they bought, and how they're getting ready for something. Wouldn't you think? And this is an off the wall thing. I know some people don't think Obama needs help winning the elections and things like that, but wouldn't at the right time, something off the wall, wouldn't it at the right a big thing happening at the right time? Wouldn't you have to call off elections for a while to make sure everything is, until the country gets back to where it's, I don't know, ticking again?
That could happen. That's the same thing everybody thought George Bush would do. Remember? They thought some major event would crush the election and he'd stay in office. And, it's part of the conspiracy, I think. It's out there. God forbid anything happens, Brooks.
Well, my time in Washington, I can tell you the president's a powerful man, but there are forces that, not forces, but there are organizational powers that really control things at a much higher level than the president. Even the president is either not aware of it or ineffectual at doing anything about it.
Are you sensing that anything is out there, that anything can happen?
Well, define sensing. I'm a person of data, and I look for patterns and mathematical, at least some metric, some measurable thing. And yes, I do see trends. I see not just the average that's shifting slightly in the world, but the extremes on either end. The minimums and maximums are unbelievable. 100-degree plus temperature swings in a single 24-hour period.
Yeah, that was pretty extensive. Next up, we go to Middleton, Wisconsin. Hey, John, welcome to the program. You're up with us.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. In our blog, we also recommended Assange for the Nobel Prize. We also recommend that the government stop torturing Bradley Manning, as P.J. Crowley, former State Department official, also has requested. In Google, type Phoenix, FINNICS, and the number 7. My question is Rahm Emanuel, Israel's secret police, Mossad, he's in it, he's a dual citizen, and the Qatarian Zionists in New York Wall Street and Federal Reserve and Chicago Board of Exchange and Chicago Commodity Exchange, are they running America? Have we had a silent coup? How do you answer?
Wow, I really don't know about a silent coup. I think if there has been a coup d'état in the United States, it has taken place on an economic level that would stagger the founding fathers. We have seen our government, or at least the agencies of our government, or at least the Fed, writing checks that they just can't possibly cover. And there's only one of two reasons why any government would do that. One is they never expect to have to make the check good, and the other is they're expecting some kind of windfall that'll come in so they can beat the check to the bank. I honestly don't think the latter is happening.
I had a guest a couple of weeks ago, and he said that this is beyond specific groups, targeted groups. These are globalists at a major scale that are out to upend the United States any way they can in order to balance the power. And you know what? The way we see things unfold, Brooks, he might be right.
Well, I don't know on those political levels. I know that if you're going to take over the world now, it isn't going to be with uniforms and machines. It's going to be with ones and zeros.
That's absolutely right. Next up, we go to Diana in Cleveland, Ohio. You're on Coast to Coast. Hello, Diana.
Hi, actually it's Anna, but that's okay.
Anna, okay.